Hello, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Love and Money Live.
We're in our car,
We
are not driving.
That's right. No driving.
No driving.
And videoing. All right, so we are here in our car because we're about ready to go in and do our radio show. We are really excited about it, the Money Couple Radio Show. And we are going to tape 3 today.
It's a big day.
It is. But we thought before we went in to do our radio show that we would share with you some things that we have pulled together. If you are, or if you know of anybody who has adult children who you are still paying for.
That's out of college.
That's right, out of college.
See ya.
If you are still paying for them for different things and you don't want to be, then you got to stick around because we're going to go over some really great tips for you. Now, it's cold here. I'm wearing a coat. It's almost June, kind of crazy. But we are warmed up because we are excited to share these things with you. So we're going to talk about the stop approach and using this to talk to your kids about getting off of your payroll.
Absolutely.
Now, I just have to say one thing before I get into details.
All right.
Some parents, and you got to make sure you are not one of these, kind of want to keep paying for their kids' stuff, so they kind of keep a leash on them.
Crazy.
Don't do it.
That's an expensive leash, people.
That's an expensive leash. Don't do it.
Set them free.
That's right. That's right. So first of all, first thing is, and our main point today is to sit down and have a meeting with your kids and how to do those meetings. But before you have those meetings with them, step number 1 is just to make sure that you and your spouse are on the same wavelength.
Yeah, you have to, especially because step 2 is we're going to talk to you about how you actually talk to them about going off your payroll. Mm-hmm. But you have to be on the same page about things like cell phones, clothings, cars, credit cards, and what I would call just downright fun money. I mean, some parents are still paying for their kids' credit cards so that they can go out and have movies and buy beer. Right. I'm like, what?
So the things to have, those are things that you and your spouse need to be in agreement on before you have your conversation with your kid. So have your agreement in those key areas. And then also make sure that you have like what your deadline is going to be. Right.
So when are we going to have them off this? It's not like you have to cut them off everything
all at once
in a 12-hour period, because that'd be a little shocking on them and probably not very nice. But you guys, as you're saying, okay, so we're going to keep on the cell phone till the end of this year because that's when our contract renews. And we're going to do, maybe with the car, we need to get them starting to take over the payments in 6 months. Credit cards, I'd say sooner than later on that, because if you say, hey, we're going to give you 6 months and then we're not going to pay your credit card anymore, if I were them, I'd load it up. So being a spender and an awesome spender, I would probably say that's #bad idea.
Right.
But you want to put some of these out because when you go into step number 2, which we're going to talk about right now, we are suggesting that you have a total of 4 meetings.
Okay. So
with your kids.
Okay. So here's a little bit of background on this. When you are going over this with your kids, it takes time for them to process it, B, let it percolate, and 3, know that you're serious.
Right.
And if you just have one conversation with them about it, it usually kind of falls on deaf ears.
Yeah.
But if you schedule, and this is what we strongly suggest, 4 different meetings. 4. And we suggest that they're about once, they're apart by a week. So you take a month. Right. This is a month-long process to educate your kids to make sure that they are in the know. So 4 weeks, 1 meeting a week, you're sitting down and talking. And we actually put an acronym together for you to remember what these different meetings are about. And that acronym is
STOP.
STOP.
Not stop in the name of love.
That's right.
It's called Stop Spending All My Money.
That's exactly. STOP.
So let's jump into the first one.
Okay, sounds great.
Meeting number 1 is subject them to the idea. Talk about your thoughts. Let them talk about their thoughts. But really what you're doing is you're opening up the conversation on, this is something we need to start processing as a family. So you need to subject them to the fact that things are going to change and that the money train is going to stop.
Now, here's the thing, too, is that you're kind of opening up the conversation, because you don't want to, especially if you haven't been talking a lot about this,
Right.
you don't want to just spring it on them and here's all the rules, blah, 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 blah. It just won't be perceived very well.
Right.
And so telling them that, we're going to be talking, and one of our jobs, one of the things that's so important to tell them is that one of our jobs as parents is to train you up to be financially responsible.
Absolutely.
So one of our jobs as parents is to train you up to be financially responsible. And so in the first meeting that you have with your child, do you want to hold it?
Yeah, let me hold it.
Okay, why don't you?
I think your arm's getting tired. All right. So let's go to number 2.
Okay, so S is for subject them to, whoops. Here, I'll just hold it. It's okay, because it's a little hard with the cord. Okay. All right, so subject them to the whole
idea.
topic. All right,
Okay.
what's T?
T is tally up the totals.
There we go.
So you need to give them a list of T. You need to give them a list of what you're paying for, how you're paying for it. You need to make sure that you're totaling. They might be shocked if you're paying for their car and their cell phone and part of their rent and their credit card bills. They need to see actually what you're spending. So you need to tally everything up in the second meeting, because that's going to let them do is give them the ability to chew on that a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay, so subject them to the idea. S. T.
Second meeting.
Tally everything up.
Third
Number
meeting.
3.
Third meeting.
Overemphasize the dates. You are going to stop paying for their stuff. So you're giving them kind of the final countdown. It's like a Survivor song. It's the final countdown, which is a great
Final
song.
countdown.
Exactly. Greatest song ever. So, I mean, it was in Rocky,
Okay.
awesome. Anyway, so it's a final countdown. So you're giving them, hey, 3 months from now, we're cutting you off of this. 6 months from now, we're cutting you off of this. That's really what you're going to do. You're going to, you're going to subject them to the conversation. You're
In the
gonna,
meeting number 1.
Yep. You're going to tally up the totals.
Right.
Just put it down a little bit. Tally up the totals. And this one, you're going to overemphasize the dates. So you're going to go through with them every single date and when you're cutting the cord financially.
There you go.
Okay. So S, T, overemphasize the date. P, pump them up and
In the
provide
fourth meeting.
encouragement. In the fourth meeting, you're going to sit down. You're going to say that we're going to do this, and boom, you're going to nail it. You're going to help them understand that, hey, you've got this. This is part of adulthood, and you're going to cut the cord.
Absolutely. So one of the things that these 4 meetings will do is, again, it builds the relationship. You want to
Got
make
it.
sure that you're building a relationship with your child during this process, not just, boom, cutting them off. This was really interesting. One of my friends, her son is actually going to a college really close to where she lives. And she was just saying with her other child, she kind of said, oh, okay, well, you're going to college, you're kind of, I know you're not going to want to be here anymore and stuff like that. Well, she didn't kind of let her child know about what stuff was going on in the family. And it turns out that his feelings actually really got hurt. And so we've got to remember that our adult children, they still want a relationship with us. And we've got to do everything we can to build that relationship. And again, having just one sit-down meeting where you're reading them the riot act about how they're being irresponsible and all that is just not going to do them any good. So separating it out into these 4 meetings is really the way to go. We're Scott and Bethany Palmer, the Money Couple. We are so glad to be with you today. Today we're talking about how to have the conversation with your adult child as to how to cut the cord with the money. And we applied the STOP principle, S-T-O-P. So if you missed it, please go back, listen again. If you have any other suggestions on how to have these conversations and at the same time build the relationship with your child instead of tearing it down, please let us know. Comment. We're so glad to be with you, and we're excited to go into our radio show now and film that and record that. So again, as always, we're so glad you were with us, but make it happen.